A few years ago, I reviewed River City Girls, and I loved it. It was a comical update and a great Western take on a classic JRPG slash fighter. And while fully licensed, I kinda said unofficial, and for somewhat good reasons. Due to a lot of soft reboots, side stories, and bungled translations, trying to keep up with Kunio's story could give you about as big a headache as trying to make sense of the Zelda timeline. But Wayforward did correct me on Twitter that theirs was the official story, lame ending and all. Now we get River City Girls 2, and how is it? Well, it's more of the same but better. Kind of like a really great Mega Man sequel. Let's take a look at this game.
Our beloved father, the man who single-handedly built up the San Wakai Empire from nothing.
The story starts right off from both endings of the first one. The girls beat Sabuko and throw her out the window, but Ricky and Kunio recognize them as their girlfriends instead of these two twits. You had to go through the MacGuffin quest in order to unlock a special pendant in order to fight them and unlock the ending that has them becoming Ricky and Kunio's girlfriends. Anyways, Sabuko is taken by her brother to see her father, and their father wants revenge on Kyoko and Misako for humiliating their family and criminal organization. So he starts a plan to humiliate the two girls and then completely destroy them, starting by taking over their school and having them thrown out the school, quite literally. The two girls do remark, hey, we don't have to do the school stage again, which, yeah, way to make light of the first part of the game, the school stage from the original, which was easily the worst part of the original River City Girls, next to that crappy ending, of course. From there, the two girls sit on their butts playing video games inside, causing all their stats and techniques they learned in the first game to now go back to zero, and for them not to learn anything. However, after a couple of months, the new video game they've been wanting to play hits, and now they have to brave the streets of River City to get said video game. Things happen, they find out that the Yakuza is after them. Sabuko is willing to help them out, provided they complete missions and score badges for her that will help them get into Yakuza headquarters and beat the evil Sabu once and for all. The game does still keep a great sense of humor, this time throwing out references towards not only Wayforward games, but also Technos games and Arc System games. One of the best jokes is one of the areas is called Technos. And while the theme of that stage has to do with how social media will lead to narcissism and what they do with their data is oftentimes unethical, I still love that the fact that this company's name is Technos. Who was Technos? Well, they were the companies that created the original Kunio-kun and Double Dragon series. They enjoyed a lot of success in the late 80s, but got sloppy in the mid-90s and went out of business. The creators of Double Dragon and Kunio-kun were able to buy back the rights to their IP and got them to Natsume, which was then acquired by Arc System, which then gave the license to Wayforward to create the River City Girls games. And now you see why I say the stories and licenses are a mess. But to have their name be used for a successful tech company, that's just hilarious to me, considering I know what happened to that company. There are also little references to other games in the Kunio sports games like Dodgeball. They also have reasons why Marion from Double Dragon and Pruvia from River City Underground show up in the story and become unlockable characters. Marion having abs of steel has to do with how many times she's been punched in the gut in the Double Dragon games, which again I thought was kind of hilarious. On the bad side though, the story does kind of assume you will be Misako and Kyoko. A lot of the dialogue has them in mind and their personalities, and the humor kind of is geared towards a duo of one being a firecracker and the other a ditzy blonde. It doesn't sound right when you play as anyone else, like Kunio or Ricky, for example.
I don't think she's going to kill us. Yeah, I'm getting that sense. So then what do you want from us?
Also, thanks for stopping your brother, even though he looks like Kunio.
Go through the game first time as these two before expanding on the extra characters if you want to enjoy the story. Besides that, I have a few complaints about the story. The ending is actually pretty funny this time, going full-scale Double Dragon Neon and the meta humor at the end. And the last part ties things up nicely for this game's story. No needing to collect MacGuffins to get an actual halfway decent ending to the story this time. So, well done on the story, Wayforward. It's not perfect, but it's an enjoyable story. The game is at the core just like the first one. You beat up goons, you take their money, you buy stuff to increase your stats. You also level up as you go through the game. You can also learn new moves at dojos. And unless a lock appears, you can run and avoid enemies if you wish. That said, they added a whole bunch of new moves. It seems that an aerial game has been added, so juggling the enemies seems to help out a lot. Also, even though a lot of the old areas appear, there are some new areas in both the old zones and some areas that are completely new, like this tech headquarters and Flatirons, which is now basically this maze. The game map is over twice as long, so large that there's a lot more to do, and there's a lot more side quests to do and people to get them out. Basically, you're not just handed out side quests, one per area, by Go Die anymore. There's a lot to track down in this game. Also, it seems to be a bit more open in which order you tackle the story missions or the way you go through them. I should also note that capturing goons and the recruitment system is still here. Now you can hold 2 goons and hire other characters that have much more impressive fighting abilities, including a few that are from other games like Abobo, and a few others from Arc System games originally appear to be hired on. Personally, I did not use this much in the original, and in the latest game, although they try to increase its usefulness with each thug doing something different and adding more thugs to recruit, it's a meh for me. The RPG elements do work fine, and there are plenty of things to buy, and there's always a shop available for you to shop and buy stuff to recover your health and even increase your stats, so you're never too far from having your health refilled. So I had fun. Any complaints maybe towards the end? The game does get carried away with some of the locking you into fight scenes, and capturing goons can be a bit tough. It seems they're far easier to kill this time. And finally, there is a late game MacGuffin quest that you have to go around bouncing to different areas to save people that have been kidnapped. Fortunately, this goes by quick and easy as all the victims are pretty much close to bus stops and the map does a good job marking out where they are. Overall, I did enjoy the game in fighting my way through River City. It's a great upgrade to the original game.
This room looks like a glitchy old west or something. This computer nerd fantasy stuff. Try to ignore.
Like a lot of Mega Man's games, Wayforward obviously reused a lot of its assets from the original River City girls when it comes to the graphics. Most of the character sprites that were in the original are here to be found. A lot of the areas themselves seem to be here, a lot more detail added to them, but still the same areas. And the characters still have that blocky sprite look to them. That said, they've been smoothed out and it looks a whole lot better. The graphics in the original were great, and I don't mind the reuses because I still think this game looks good and fits the time that it's trying to portray. It feels like an elevated Super Nintendo game, and I love it for it. Some great voice acting from Todd Haberkorn, Christina Valenzuela, and Matt McMuscle.
"'Tis true, 'tis I."
Oh, jeez, you're not gonna talk like that the whole time, are you?
Well, I like to bring a certain level of panache to my salesmanship, but if you're not having it, I can tone it down, sure.
Okay, now I do have to wonder what happened to this guy. And plenty of other voice acting is top notch, and they knocked the humor and the timing of the jokes right out of the park. I enjoyed the game's story, and the voice acting elevated it even further. Music is even better. There you have even more remix soundtracks from the OG River City Ransom, plus most of the soundtrack from the original is played at some point, and even new songs for the new areas. All of them come from the boss's perspective when it comes to lyrics. For example, the boss of the mall area, which is the mob boss's spoiled brat of a son, so the lyrics basically sing about how I'm better than you. A witch that can bewitch people talks about how she stalks from the shadows and takes people's wills. The soundtrack is excellent and it fits the world of River City Ransom. It's hard for me to say which soundtrack is better, this one or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. That's how awesome this soundtrack is. River City Girls 2 is definitely battling for the best Brawler of the Year spot. Which one it is depends on your taste in brawlers. Shredder Revenge is more of a simple but chaotic brawler. River City Girls 2 is more about finesse, tactics, stats, leveling up, and exploring the world. Both styles are really fun to me, and it just depends on your person. If you like brawlers to be a bit more complicated, then definitely check out River City Girls 2. If you're in for a more simple button-mashing fest, the Ninja Turtles offers a great time, but personally, I'm glad I picked up both. This is Tommy the Game Master signing out. Please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this video. Hope to see you soon. Bye!
Who's taking over downtown. If you find her, maybe she can help you out.
Any idea where in downtown?
Try the basketball court. The local Yakuza team usually plays there around now, and she usually clears them out soon after.
Thanks, kid. You're a lot more helpful than you look.
I'm a smoldering inferno of apathy.
You sure are. See ya.